Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Woohoo! I'm Megan.
I'm Melissa.
Are you wearing clogs?
No, I mean, they're Crocs.
She says as if that's supposed to make it better.
I know, that doesn't make it better, but because of my back, these are the only shoes that I can wear, like, in the house that do not clog. I think they are the ugliest things that have ever been, but they are the only, like, I can't wear my slippers anymore because my back hurts.
I'm just curious why you opted for the clog versus, like, the original Croc.
The original Croc has holes in them.
Yeah, Swiss cheese.
These are like the ones that are for like service workers, so they have a grippy bottom to the bottom.
Like nurse shoes.
Yes, they're nurse shoes. And so the other ones, I have them, but they were slipping on the floor. So I got these because they grip the floor.
She's thriving. Can you lift a leg up for the Patreon? Well, I just want you to know that she is wearing...
They're very ugly, and I will never wear these in public. I will never wear any Crocs in public, but inside, while my back is still healing, I have to wear these ugly ass shoes.
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like I would be open to having some Crocs. If I got Crocs, I'm going to lean in. Like, I'm going to get tie-dye rainbow Crocs.
I mean, like, I have purple ones and I have some yellow ones, but the yellow ones, like, have lining in the inside, and I thought that would have been, like, a good move for, like, slippers inside, but they smelled immediately.
Well, things I'm learning about you. You own 3 pairs of Crocs.
Yeah. One of them's my outdoor Crocs that I wear, like, to take the trash out, and I don't want to track him. 5
seconds after she says, you will never catch me wearing Crocs.
Like, out in public.
No, true.
I've only worn them outside to take the trash out.
So if people live on your block,
then they've seen them.
Catch me outside in my Crocs.
Right, but that's the only time we will ever. I will never be out at a public place with them on.
Hey, live your life. Live your best life.
I'm really mad because, you know, I had really cute Ugg slippers that I was wearing all the time, but whenever I stood up to walk, my back would collapse.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of support in them.
They don't have any support.
Well, this is Don't Blame Me. We're an advice podcast. We're going to recommend everybody to get Crocs. And yeah, if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And we ask that you keep it under 3 minutes. Let us know your pronouns. Write everything down before you start recording, because again, you'll get cut off. And you have to be 18 or over, have your parents' permission. I guess I should give you more of like a lowdown of what the show is. We give advice because we are perfect human beings who have never done anything wrong, and we sit on a throne of lies.
Fingers crossed, because we're fibbing.
Lying. So we love giving advice, and we are going to be giving all of you some hopefully wonderful, fantastic, amazing advice.
I had a hiccup.
Oh, before we get into it, if you have missed the last couple episodes or you are not up to date, you might have missed. We announced that we started a second podcast. It is called But Am I Wrong? And we have had 2 episodes out now. So we just recorded that. It's a great time. There's a good story in there. You will all be able to tell me if I'm wrong in my story. And it pertains to...
Who knows? By the time it comes out, maybe things have changed.
Maybe things have changed. We'll see. But it pertains to a item of jewelry that is often worn on the left hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have been wrong.
And here were my thoughts on it. And I have insider information that Megan did not know about.
Yep. So what's new with you?
I'm very tired from working a lot, but as I've been doing for years, I end my days watching my soap operas. General Hospital is my number one bitch, but right now it's Days of Our Lives because they're doing a devil possession story.
Oh my god!
It's like the same person that got possessed by the devil in the 80s, Dr. Marlena Evans, but like they're redoing it now. Like the devil came back and has jumped into her, and they're just like bringing people back from the like the devil is rising people back from the dead. Yes, I know it is so crazy, and they're like walking around like but like they're like zombies, but not with zombie personalities. Like they're like fully awake and know what's going on. They just look like zombified versions.
You're fucking kidding me.
But it's the actors playing like their dead characters, and so they're coming and like they've already killed one person, and like also the devil is like picking people in the town that they like villains in the show. They're like, those are my people. It is so funny and it's killing me.
I'm going to have to like look up some clips. That's not what I think of when I think of like, oh, crazy fucking soap opera storylines.
I mean, it's like a redo from the 80s, but like in the 80s, the devil went around and like killed a whole bunch of people and everybody thought all these people were dead. But then like somehow like when the spirit was taken out, the people were like alive again. So people thought like everybody in town got murdered.
I just want to know, like, what drugs are these writers taking?
Well, Ron, who writes Days of Our Lives, he's very funny, and I would like to meet him in real life.
Yeah, you have to be so quick and funny and creative to, like, come up with this kind of stuff, especially when, like, you know, like, you think of, like, Schitt's Creek and shows that, like, you know, are very, I don't want to say intentional and say that soap operas aren't intentional, but, like, intentionally like wrapped up in a bow. Like you have to leave every thread like loose or be like, no shame, we really tied that one up and let's slash it open and start it over again.
So if you're not watching Days of Our Lives and you've never watched it in your life, I highly recommend starting watching like the episodes from October because they're all on Peacock. Actually, they're all on like Hulu too. You can watch on there, like the old episodes, and or start in October and then build your way up to where we got to last night, where I was just like, okay, I'm 100% in.
That's fucking insane. I'm literally gonna watch clips of this. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we normally like talk about like podcast reviews at the very end of the episode, but I have to share this one with you. Okay. Now I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I just need to ask you a question about this because when it's not supposed to be mean, and I'm not reading it as mean, I just disagree.
Okay.
Someone said, Megan always says and all of that kind of stuff. I agree. I definitely have phrases that I say way too much.
Oh, I already know which one you're talking about.
And that's mostly because eventually you'll notice how my speech pattern changes depending on where we are in the episode. And that's usually you can like hear, and if you're watching, see the Adderall wear off. This one, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But they said, I'd almost say that Megan and Melissa are radically liberal. I'm not like disagreeing. Like when I take political quizzes, again, I was raised Green Party. You know, this can be a very triggering statement to people who have like left very like oppressive regimes or whatever. But like my dad is like a self-proclaimed like old commie. That is like his shtick. So I was not raised like Democratic at all. I would say that like, yes, I am radically liberal, but what on this podcast has been radically liberal? That's what I was like, that's what I'm stuck on.
What is radical liberal?
Like when I think of radically liberal, I think like anti-capitalism, which we've never fucking discussed on this podcast.
No. And I'm kind of not.
No, that's what that's what I mean. That I'm just like, I would say like anti-capitalist, leaning more like socialist. I don't think ACAB is radically liberal.
No.
And I can't for the life of me rack my brain about like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a 4-star review, not a 1-star.
No, I know it's not a negative review. And like, I don't disagree with them specifically calling me radically liberal, but like, I don't know where the fuck that has ever come up on the podcast.
No.
The only things that we've really stuck to are the vaccine
and fuck Trump.
And racism. None of those things are radically liberal at all. I would just love to know. This is kind of just like a follow-up question. And like, you can't count my Instagram because like, I mean solely on this podcast. I would just love to know. But I do wonder if we're going to get an influx of reviews from pissed off manifestation girlies because I pissed them off on TikTok, which again, I will explain here. Manifestation girlies are not women who practice manifestation. Manifestation girlies are the MLM girlies of manifestation, where they charge you $500 for an ebook on how to manifest $500. They are the scammers. That's where the girly term comes in. Someone's like, just let women enjoy things. And I was like, circling back to our first episode of this, no. If you enjoy problematic things, no, I will not let you enjoy them.
True.
Okay. So we are going to get into the calls. We're actually going to do the update at the end because it is incredibly long. So let's get to the calls.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. My pronouns are she, her, and my boyfriend's pronouns are he, him. We've been dating for 2 years, and 6 months of those 2 years have been long distance. We're 24 and 25, very much getting married and super attracted to each other. We have a great sex life and a healthy relationship. I'm calling in because I'm feeling extremely guilty for being attracted to a coach at my workout classes. He's a very good-looking man, and we make jokes at each other in a very friendly way. I'm feeling extremely guilty because I do not have feelings for this man in any way, but it's very flattering to have a good-looking guy give me attention. I think it's because I've been in a relationship for 2 years, and that's how long it's been since I've gotten attention from another man, as it should be, but it's just flattering. I think about if he wasn't good-looking, I probably wouldn't feel so guilty, and if the roles were reversed, I would feel super hurt. I just want to know if I should tell my boyfriend. Am I a bad person? Is this normal? I feel so horrible about it. And is me thinking that this man is attractive? Like, is that cheating? Am I self-sabotaging? I pretty much just want to know what the heck is going on. Because I just have this overwhelming feeling of guilt for just like having plain attraction towards this man. Not in like a sexual attraction way, but literally just finding him attractive and being flattered by being paid attention to. Even though my boyfriend pays plenty of attention to me, and he is very obsessed with me. What is going on? I feel horrible. Thank you. Love you guys.
You want to know my thoughts?
What?
I think that attention's fine. I think that your workout coach probably is just friendly and it's not actually flirting because that's part of their job.
Yeah.
I also think, when you're working out, a lot of endorphins are going and sweating and breathing heavily. And so it triggers something in your brain that makes things more attractive than they actually are. And I think now that you're aware of it and you said it out loud, then stop flirting with the man. And also, as long as you don't act on it, then you're fine. But now that you're aware of it and you've said it out loud, you need to stop flirting.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that like usually when you feel guilty, because there's something going on there. And you even said yourself, I would feel hurt if it was the reverse. And there is something specific about workout coaches. There's a reason why so many actors are also like workout, like fitness instructors, especially in LA, because you have to be charismatic, you have to be funny, like attractive, good looking. And then you also give people specific attention who are going to then keep coming back to the classes.
Like attention that they might be coming around and touching you to adjust you a little bit and saying like, oh, you look good, or like just saying things of encouragement. But that is their job.
I think fitness instructors give everyone the same kind of thing as camp goggles, where it's like if a fitness instructor is like nice to me and mildly cute, I will think they are 10,000 times cuter because of the circumstance, the situation, like the physical touching, all of that kind of stuff. But I don't think that like finding someone else that is cute is like cheating or self-sabotaging. If it is something that you would feel uncomfortable with your boyfriend seeing, being near, or knowing about, that is when it becomes like okay, let's unpack this. I agree. I don't think you should be flirting with him anymore. And I also think like if you maybe like just as an experiment, stop going to this person's like workout classes for a bit, and then what's happening with your relationship? Like, are you feeling like, oh, I'm like missing this kind of thing? Because I don't think it means anything more than that, but I think it can. There's nothing wrong with finding anyone else attractive. But if you feel like you need to hide something from your partner, then you know what you're doing is, like you said, not something that you would want him to do to you. So you have to stop doing that.
I mean, there's plenty of workout classes. Go to a different class.
Yeah. Like, would you feel comfortable if your boyfriend came with you to a workout class with this instructor? You know?
Right.
And if the answer is no, then it's like, okay, we're definitely crossing a boundary then. And so I need to not do this. And if the guilt is really eating away at you, you can tell your partner that it's like, yeah, I feel like kind of weird. Like I definitely like think this workout instructor is cute, but I'm not going to take his class anymore because like it made me feel really like guilty. And I felt just kind of like uncomfortable. And I wouldn't want that to be in like the reverse. And then you can say like, have you ever felt that in a situation you haven't told me? But at the same time, do you want to know? Because if you don't want to know, then don't bring that up.
Right.
I think this happens to like so many people. But then you see a fitness instructor outside of like, and you're like, no, it's not hitting the same.
Right. Also, they're probably putting on for the class anyway, and that's not their actual personality.
There is like a fitness studio in LA. I'm not going to name names because it is a wild allegation I'm about to say. It's just an allegation that like this fitness studio really caters to gay men, and almost all of the instructors are straight men married to women. And that's like their shtick. And my friend who is gay, his term for it, he was like, oh yeah, they're all gay for pay. And like, he's like, we all know that. I believe the fantasy. Like, I just lean into the fantasy of all of it. And he's like,
it's the same of like when you go to like the gay clubs that are here in West Hollywood and the dancers, like most of them are straight.
Yeah. So it happens. But again, like there is something weirdly like that I would never be attracted to any of them. And the second the lights are on, no. But like while it's happening and I'm like, okay.
They're
sweaty.
Just told me my footwork was great.
Yeah, it's like great form. And you're like, oh, thank you.
That time when we walked out and they're like, you all look like a squat.
Yeah, something like that. We were all just like fucking giggling at this like not
attractive
cute
man at
not
all. And
cute.
especially once we looked at his Instagram.
I know. Yeah. And then we were all like, yeah, no, this is not, the bubble has been burst.
Yeah.
The bubble has fully been burst. I do think it is funny though how instructors, when they are catering to heterosexual women, it is like, I'm either going to be your gay best friend leaning into like that kind of thing, which I've had friends who've been fitness instructors and it's like, I'm just exhausted. I feel like I'm on Drag Race every day. And he's like, I just have to keep saying yes, queen to everything.
I feel like that's what Cody on
Peloton. Yeah, like you have to like lean into that kind of aspect of it, which just feels like very performative. Or it is, and that's like a non-threatening male presence, especially because so many of these fitness instructors are very huge and jacked. Or it's like, I'm really sexy and I'm really hot and I'm a gentle giant and you're going to fantasize about like me coming into like the steam room at the same time and like just fucking boning each other. But then the women instructors are all like, those are the classes. Like if I wanted to get my ass whooped in a workout class, I'm going to a woman.
Yeah.
They're going to hurt me more than any other man. And I love seeing the straight guys who go to women's workout classes because I'm like, you like to get yelled at in bed.
Right.
You love to be bossed around. Like, this is hot. We had one workout instructor at my old gym, and she was just like, if you were even 5 seconds late, she would pause. And she was like, am I not important to you? What's your name? Let us know your name. And these guys would just be like blushing, so excited. And she's like, fucking, and she would like walk by and her breath like, fucking perfs. And I was like, I love you. Like, I just want to be them. Like, you're so iconic and your biceps are huge.
Right.
Ugh, okay. Let's get on to the next.
Hi, so I'm 21 years old, pronouns she, her. I'm originally from Virginia, but I now live in LA working full-time. The gist of this call is that my older brother, 23, he, him, is dating my best friend, 21, she, her. We have been best friends since freshman year of high school while my brother was one grade above us. They knew of each other and were in some clubs together, but they only started dating a year ago during quarantine. For context, my brother and I are pretty close, and our family is even closer. My best friend and I were close in high school, but we got even closer in college when I moved to LA, and she really put in an effort to stay in touch with me, and I did the same with her. When she started dating my brother while we were all home during quarantine, I was told nothing except for what my mom told me. All my best friend told me was, I don't know what we're doing, and even that I had to pull out of her. Things got even worse when I went back to LA. I was left completely out of the loop and kept having to learn things from my parents, like the fact that he gave her a promise ring after only a few months together. This continued until I came home for this past summer with my best friends from college. They were all super excited to meet my best friend, my brother, and the rest of my family, but the entire time they were here, my brother and my best friend were in their own world, and it felt like I didn't even exist, and that my friendship with my best friend took a backseat to everything. And when it was just my brother hanging out with me and my family, she was constantly calling him and asking him to come over, even though I expressed how important it was to me for us to spend some time together. My friends from college noticed this and were also upset with how I was just being brushed to the side, even though I expressed so many times how important this time was to me, as I'm not able to come home as often as I would like because of financial reasons. When I sat my brother down to explain that I was hurt and confused, I was met with defensiveness and guilt tripping. Because this reaction was so unexpected, I broke down and became really upset. He still responded to this with seemingly no empathy and could not seem to understand how I could feel pushed out and like an outsider, especially because I don't live at home anymore while they both still live super close to home in my family. When this info got back to my best friend, I was told by my brother that she was having an anxiety attack because of it and was throwing up. He basically blamed this on me and told me to stop causing an issue and just to go back to normal because this is too much. I went back to LA feeling completely unresolved while they get to continue on as if nothing ever happened. We've never talked about it again to this day, but because of this situation and my unresolved feelings, I'm no longer really prioritizing my friendship with my best friend, and because it's long distance, we don't really talk much. I'm home again in Virginia and she's made no effort to see me. My brother now acts as if she's solely his girlfriend and has no connection to me. It's completely ridiculous, and I just don't know if I should say something to her. Please help.
Wow. I would be so mad.
Yeah.
I would be hurt. I would be really, really, really fucking hurt. I know that you said you and your brother are close, but I think that initial conversation, I think you probably should have had a conversation and talked to her first, because even though it can feel like family kind of owes you more, his relationship with his siblings is more passive. A friendship, you have to put more effort into, and you're just not going to show up at Christmas and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that the fact that you had to pull so much of this information out of your friend at the time and then you were getting nothing, to me, if I was in the situation, I'd be okay, this is a clear indicator that we're not friends anymore. And that's okay, but I'm just going to stop putting an effort and being disappointed in you and being disappointed with where things are going, and I'm just going to be done. But that's also hard if you don't have that conversation. So if it was me, I would have that conversation with her where it's I've been felt disappointed for a really long time about this. This whole thing has kind of sucked. I have no issue with you dating my brother, but the way that you guys have gone about all of this stuff just feels really sucky, and I don't have you as a friend anymore. And I just want to let you know that I'm not going to put forth that effort anymore. And I hope you guys are happy, but I really wish we could have been able to maintain a friendship.
Yeah. I think that with you moving away, even if she didn't date your brother, I don't think that you guys would have remained friends.
Really? Even she said they got closer when she went to college, though.
But did they?
Oh, do you think that might have been some guilt?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I would understand if they've been dating, but they didn't want to involve you because they didn't know where things are going and didn't want to make things weird between you and the friendship and then the sibling relationship. But it seems like your parents know everything that's going on. So that's the weird part of it to me. It's your parents know everything that's going on. Your parents are telling you things, but they're not telling you everything. Why is everyone leaving you out of this?
It sounds to me that your friend feels really guilty and is
but if they felt guilty, why is it when the caller went home, why didn't the friend allow the caller to be with her brother?
Maybe she's pretending that she feels guilty, and that's why she's not telling her.
I think she stopped being your friend a minute ago.
Yeah, I fully agree. It sucks, but I think that you said that your brother treats it as if this is his girlfriend, not your friend. Mm-hmm. And I think that like, as cunty as it sounds, like you need to treat that this is your brother's girlfriend. This is not your friend.
Because she stopped being your friend.
Yeah. And like that sucks. And like you just don't really like your brother's girlfriend right now. And like whatever. But okay, can we loop back? You know, this is like a very unrelated, not important part. Got our promise ring?
Yeah.
Educate me. I thought promise rings were when you're like Christian and like 15, 16, before like you're too young to get engaged. And so you get a promise ring because you're not going to have sex with anybody else. And you guys are like your one true soulmate. And then that's like a temporary until an engagement ring. That's what it is?
Yes. For them to be adults with promise rings is odd to me, but I don't know. That's what a promise ring has meant to me as a child or high school age, but you might live in a different area and it means a different thing.
I looked into it when I was obsessed with the Jonas Brothers because they had purity rings.
Purity rings. That's different, though.
No, but then it was like, oh, is Kevin going to propose to Danielle, or is he going to give her a promise ring? And that's when I learned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's like one of my questions because I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it's like that, either the promise ring thing or like if your partner was like, I don't even feel right calling someone a partner when they're like 15.
No.
But like if they were like lettered in something and had like a class ring, then you'd give it to them. But
like when you wear someone's hat
or like their Letterman jacket.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like fucking weird.
Yeah, I haven't ever heard of adults with promise rings, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I think you just tell her like, hey, we're not friends anymore. Just letting you know because I'm not putting the effort in. Or you just stop being friends with her. But I think this whole like guilt tripping thing and like the communicating through other people and that stuff, I think it's best to just like tell her straight up. And then here's the other thing. If she has anxiety, she's guilt, like feels like horrible, all this stuff. This is all preventable. Even if she was like, I'm really anxious to have this conversation with you, that I really like your brother and like blah, blah, blah. But I do think it's an act, not the anxiety. I don't think anxiety is an act. I think I'm so guilt ridden is an act.
It's an excuse. Also, like, I feel like the brother should be explaining things too.
I don't. I mean, I do. I
don't think it's all on her.
No. I don't think so. But I think that like for him, he doesn't seem concerned about your relationship with her, which makes me feel like she doesn't seem concerned about your relationship with her either.
I'm not talking about the relationship. I'm talking about just sharing that they were dating and things. And then on top of that, while the caller was visiting, the girlfriend kept calling and pulling him away from the family. Like he could have said no. Like, I'm here with my sister. Like, that responsibility is on him.
100%. I just think that like he knows, and it's not like the correct way to go about this, but like you're his sister. You're always going to be around. And like he knows that. So like he's being lax about the whole thing, which sucks, especially because like there are two parties that you have pre-existing relationships with in this relationship. So like when he's doing that, it's not just, oh, my brother has a new girlfriend and like he's not around so much anymore and this sucks, we're really close. It's not only that, but you are with my best friend who's like not hanging out with me. Like, have you either of you talked about how this is clearly affecting me and like all of that stuff? So it just seems like neither of them are concerned about how you feel. And the only time that they are saying that they're concerned with how you feel is when it's a form of manipulating you to not be upset. Because again, like I think like if it was like I feel really guilty and like I don't feel comfortable talking to you about all of this, like then when you were in town, it would have been like, okay, I'm just gonna hang out with you this whole time and like make up for it. But it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna hang out with him and like call him all the time and like pretend like we're not even friends. But I'm like, oh, so you don't you don't feel super guilty. You just like want to move past this. I'd be pissed.
This is fucked.
It's fucked. Oh, and then tell your parents to stop telling you.
But I think she's asking.
If you have this conversation with her and you're like, I'm done. Like, you're my brother's girlfriend. Like, you live your best life with your relationship. But like, I need to take a back seat. Like, I'm done with our friendship. But I need to take a back seat from like being around because it's like has sucked. And then tell your parents like, hey, I don't want to hear about their shit anymore.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. This is like the beginning of like every teen movie. And they always make it be like, but then they lived happily ever after. Maybe you just need like a rainy day so you can like have a fight outside when it's raining. It's like, you don't call. I don't, do you know what I mean? Like it's very
dramatic shit.
It's like every teen movie. It's like, she's dating my brother.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this
is not like
horrible.
When Chandler and Monica got together and Ross was like, everybody was keeping it from Ross.
My best friend and my sister.
But then he got happy about it.
My best friend and my sister. Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll be back.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
So we are back from our break, and we are actually going to get into the update because it is a long one and it is multiple calls. It's updates on multiple calls.
Yeah, you think like 5.
I truly think 5. And I don't know if any of you will at this point be able to recognize voice. We can't. Like we knew who this was for like all of this. I don't think we discussed it in this, but if anyone discussing about this, this caller, their pronouns are they, them, if you're discussing on the group, Facebook group or anything. And yeah, should we get into that?
Let's do it.
So one was Captain Hook. The advices you gave me about switching up positions kind of helps, but it still hurt a lot. But no worries, we broke up.
Sometimes the dick doesn't fit.
Yeah, but mostly because they abandoned me in the downtown area of my state that I will not say because anonymous.
Right.
And just because some guy like was harassing me and they're like, give me your pepper spray. And I'm like, I don't have it. Like I legit didn't have it this time, which is weird. And then a huge fight came out and then they blamed me for it. And while I was having a panic attack.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The dick is the least of the problems.
Yeah. And then literally last week, they got mad at me for, again, having a 3-hour-long panic attack. And they told me either calm down, which do not ever tell me to calm down, especially when I'm having a panic attack, or get the fuck out. And then I went manic. Like, I don't know what happened. I went blank. And I will say, trigger warning, I ended up relapsing from self-harm. And I haven't done that in 2 years. Sorry, I hate crying.
That's okay.
You can cry.
That's okay.
So, I don't know. We tried being friends, but after that, I just felt like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's hard.
Yeah.
Like, those are the moments that, like, we need people to show up for us, but especially when you're in, like, really vulnerable mental health moments.
Yeah.
And to not only have people not show up how we need them to, but to make things worse and then be the voice of that, like, anxiety voice of, like, this is all of your fault. It's just horrible. And I'm so sorry. And recovery isn't linear. I know that like the term relapse is like very like clinical and like that kind of stuff, but also like it shouldn't ever feel like a personal failure, but like you don't have to identify with that term of like relapse specifically of just like, I had like a misstep in like my recovery, but things are still like on the up and up. And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. I have a Zoom meeting with my therapist in like 2 hours. So
okay.
Hopefully that'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sending you a virtual hug.
Thank you. So, and then another one was lighter topic, the drag stage fright. So I like have friends who are drag queens and I've seen them perform and I've seen what I love and what I don't love. Like I've also seen Miss Vanjie perform once. Recently, I still have chills, but I met Kylie Sonique Love.
Wow.
And I like cried. And like Kylie gave me like really good advice saying just like kind of like what you guys said, like it's like when you're on stage and like what everyone else tells me, like you're like this whole different person. Like you can be a superhero if you want to. And you told me it was like my go-to hold my drink song. And I grew up listening to metal music, so I didn't really have one. Yeah, my parents are kind of emos, and I grew up as a gay emo.
That's so funny.
I could see that, though, as like some persona.
Yeah, like are there metal drag queens?
I know drag queen whose name I will not say because they are problematic is a metal drag queen.
I feel like there like could be a niche for like an emo, like metal drag queen, especially in the era of like everyone's loving those throwback emo songs, but also that like all these new artists are making songs like that.
And we've seen you do your makeup before, so we know that you would.
You have so much of this on lock already.
Yeah, and I only did kind of one show, but I had my, I guess now drag mother help me. They're like, and coming into the stage, my drag name, and I was just like, I need help. And they're like, well, I only know this one metal song, and it was from Bring Me the Horizon. And I felt great. I was like whipping my hair. I'm surprised my wig kept. Because I know for a fact, like, I didn't want to be like, no shade to this drag queen, but Heidi in closet when her wig fell off.
It's the greatest meme, the greatest gif of all time.
Yeah. And yeah, I felt great. That was my only one and only show. And I was like scared to like grab the tip money because I didn't want to be like money. I didn't want to be like that or anything like that.
Did you take the money though?
Yeah, they were offering it.
I know, but I felt shy. Like I grew up like my parents telling me, don't take anyone's money. And I'm like, okay. So
we're in the age of take the money, take the money. And also like the amount of like work and like sheer talent and like, yeah, just the work you put into like a drag performance. I'm like, you deserve all of those tips and all of that. Do you have anything else any other shows like coming up or anything that like you want to do again?
Hopefully. I just need to be like 100% ready. At that time, I think I was like 60%.
Okay. Yeah. You'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully, because I still don't know how to walk in heels.
I mean, I can't help.
But what if it's metal? Can you wear like if you're like embrace like the metal persona? Can you wear like big platforms or like Doc Martin type things?
Yeah, I had my Doc Martens on, and they were like the ones that has like an extra inch on it.
Yeah, I say in general, opt for platforms with thicker heels. And as someone with bad ankles, usually people who like don't have experience walking in heels, it's because like you haven't used those like ankle muscles. So anything that laces up on the ankle or anything that's a little like tighter around the ankle. But once you like have a platform on, like it doesn't even really have to be any sort of like difference between the heel. Like a platform, like it gives you that like nice look too. Have you thought of doing any sort of like drag content stuff on TikTok?
So I already have a TikTok where switching to this topic now about how I make true crime content. And I just want to say that I do not glamorize true crime. I do not like glorify it like most people do when they say like, oh, this person's really hot. Like I find it actually extremely disgusting and very disrespectful to the families who's lost their lost ones. And I always sympathize to the victims as well as their families, because I've actually lost family members from gang violence in my home country, which I will not say because, again, privacy reasons, to the point where, sadly enough, there's like only 40% of my family left. So like in my home country, the police there, some don't care and some are actually scared of this certain gang members.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, like and on most of my TikToks, I always make sure the sources are like legit, make sure that they're from like the local town newspapers and all that stuff. And I always avoid stuff from Daily Mail, Fox News, and The Sun because I've heard that they're very problematic news outlets out there. And I have taken a break from that because, again, like every time I do my research, I don't know what goes in my mind. I sometimes see myself in those stories and it's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
Especially coming from someone with sleep paralysis.
Right. Ooh. And then knowing that your family has lived through that too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, again, like I do not glorify any of that. I just want to let you guys know that.
Yeah. It was more blanket statement.
No. And I don't think that you glamorize it at all. The issue is that the content is glamorized and we can't control how other people consume it. And like the sensationalism of it, that like, I think a lot of the people who make true crime content, like have great and like very good intentions. And I think people always start off with like very, very good intentions. It's just the issue of the fact that like that the people who consume it, like if you look at the comment sections on some things and all of that, and even people who don't comment and all of that, I think that like spreading awareness when families have asked for it, I just think that the bare minimum that like should be required when talking about true crime is that there's no shortage of families who have like a family member who has gone missing or something like that. You always see those things like everywhere. And like, there's no shortage of those people who want to get those stories out there. That those are the stories that should get out there versus like people who've like followed me have had like their family members or their friends or whatever who've like been brutally murdered. And then they go onto the podcast app and see that like one of the top podcasts is like their best friend's name. And they're like, what? Like got no warning, none of that kind of stuff. And I think also with like your career and like what you want to do, like what you're going to study for and all of that stuff, like that, it all completely makes sense. And I think that like, with the popularization of true crime, I think that it inherently, in the way that we consume it, is problematic. And it's really hard to recognize that, because if it was so problematic, why is it so popular? And why is it so validated by so many people? And like that, I think, is like a hard thing for everyone to kind of swallow, and like realizing that like there are ethical ways to kind of do it, but most people aren't doing it that way. And so it's more hoops to jump through. It's more work and it's like more effort and all of that stuff. And it is typically less entertaining. Like the podcasts that are done by like former detectives and that stuff, like they're more news like. Yeah, they're not trying to be kind of entertaining in that sense. And those don't naturally perform as well and all of that stuff. And we had so many people defending the true crime like podcasts. And like the ones that were defending, I think they heard what they wanted to hear. And then like they were saying the things that we were saying. And then I was like, but we said that. Yeah. The one that I've had to like consistently argue with people that I'm like, they should ask families permission. And you do that before you put all of this work into that. So it's not manipulative in that sense. And even people who are like, the families don't want to be bothered. I go, well, they don't want a podcast about them then. That's bothering them. That's like the whole thing. So like there's like a way to kind of do that. I think that there's a really great niche and opportunity for someone to do that in the true crime community and be able to have that be like hey, we're going to have on, like, this is going to be a podcast all about missing teens who have gone missing. And please, if you are a family member or a parent of like, your child has gone missing, I want to get the word out, like do all of this stuff. I'm going to do these episodes about that, you know? Yeah. It feels like there's a way to like kind of get on in there, or also just, you know, focus on the school aspect of it and the studying aspect. Have you talked to your therapist about it?
She is also like, maybe take a break. Okay. Because she notices as well that I kind of like somehow accidentally envision myself in those stories. And she was just like saying, is it something because of like past traumas or something like that? So that we're actually working on. Okay. Yeah. Because it does have something to do with that.
Well, that to me, like, obviously I'm not a therapist, but that would make sense to me that like, it's easier to kind of put yourself in other people's shoes and make it kind of like you know what I mean? Like how unpacking it through the lens of somebody else when it's like, oh, this is definitely something I need to unpack that's not re-traumatizing myself in the process, you know? Yeah.
And like, I do agree with you guys, like in the episode where you wish there was like more minorities being talked about, especially since I wish I wrote this down. A news anchor woman said that we have white girl syndrome where we like focus on like certain like pretty white girls, and like, yes, like we should look for them as well, but it's also like we have the minorities. Like I still wrote down, I wish I wrote down where I got it from, but like with the whole shoe exhibit where they found 215 indigenous children's shoes in Canada. Yeah, like that, like I knew so much about missing indigenous people, but when I saw that actually broke me, and I noticed that news went away so fast. I'm just like, why wasn't it talked about so long?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the major true crime podcasts, like the missing white woman syndrome is so real. Like you can like break down like how many minorities are talked about, but also every major podcast has done every like major quote unquote true crime story, which always is a white woman. It is just a very wild thing, because it's just a lot of discussion of violence against women and lots of stuff like that.
Yeah, I do in my bio, like have like the donation for cold cases.
Yeah.
Great.
Hopefully some of my followers would see that.
Yeah, I think that like being passionate about wanting to help, especially in terms of like missing Indigenous women and like minorities and all of that stuff. If after you take a break and you've like discussed this with your therapist, if this is something you still want to get into, I would like add an email to your bio of being like, hey, if you are a family member of someone who has like gone missing or something like that, please reach out. I want to get your story out there.
And like an immediate family member, not like
not like a cousin or that stuff. Because even when you reference, when you're citing news sources and like all of that kind of stuff, by the time things are getting written up in the news, there's so much the families have kind of been put through. And there are so many more people who are still trying to get the attention of local news. It's still recent. They still have missing, like all of that kind of stuff, that those going straight to those sources who haven't been able to get the attention of news outlets, those tend to be the most helpful. It's like why Twitter can be really helpful finding missing people, is because it's real time versus when we're waiting for journalists to write it up. Basically, it's really sad to say, but you're usually writing when something horrible has happened and like the missing person has been found and it's not a good outcome. And so like when you can kind of get to the source, it can be, really helpful. And I'm sure, there's tons of families who are actively really wanting help and wanting to get attention, especially from like smaller creators, because those big podcasts aren't doing that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I will be more aware of that as well.
Yeah.
Just right now, I'm just like kind of taking just a break because it's a lot.
Your education too helps you in a different way than just some person that's like, let me start a true crime podcast.
Do you consume a lot of true crime content right now?
Lately, no. My therapist lately just told me to just consume more either happy stuff.
Yeah.
And weirdly, it's just been cartoons.
Oh, so, valid.
Best. What cartoon are you watching?
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Okay.
I think I can picture.
It's the one with the little blue man. Yeah.
That's it. The last thing I was going to say is it took me personally taking a pretty decent break from true crime to I kind of get I was desensitized to a lot of it, that by the time I recently listened to a true crime podcast that was recommended to me, because people are like, oh, this person helped a lot and like worked with the family. And if I had listened to it a couple of years ago, I'd have been like, wow, this is so amazing. Everyone has to listen to this, all of that. And I listened to it now and I was like, this is ridiculously self-righteous. And like people were backed into a corner and like, sure, they helped in some way, but like this didn't have to be I had a lot of criticisms of the ethics behind it that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have that very long break from it, because the standards that we have, me as a former true crime fan, the standards that I had for the way that people spoke about things that I was consuming was so low that when someone did a slightly better, I was like, this is amazing and so wonderful, that now listening to it, I was like, this isn't good. Like, it still is not like a good way to do this thing. And there is a better way. And I also feel like I am much more intentional with the stuff that I like listen to, because the break has made me more self-aware of how problematic it is, but also how much it did affect me. That like, I thought it didn't. And it was like, oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, I am not like, I mean, I'm jumpy all the time, but like there are other things that I was like, this was staying with me in a way that naturally it should, because it's like a horribly traumatic thing, that I can be more intentional with. Do I want to feel like this at this moment? You know?
Yeah. I've just taken a break from true crime, and I also do makeup on my TikTok.
As you should, because your makeup is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah. Like so many people were like saying how great I looked, and I've never had that many compliments. I'm just like, real.
I love it.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Last thing is Sisters Misgendering Me, which, by the way, both of them go by a she, her.
Okay.
They actually were embarrassed because they didn't realize that it was hurting me. And they've now gotten a little bit better, and not a little bit, they've actually gotten really good. Like my sister right away corrects herself. Like she took Melissa's advice saying, the more you correct yourself, the more you'll get into the habit of actually remembering the right pronouns, which my youngest sister is doing that. And the second youngest is, I would say, like a 70%.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
good.
like she like right away corrects herself. Like they both do. And so does the oldest one. I totally forgot.
How many sisters you have?
3. And she's even like teaching my niece pronouns as well, which my niece was like, oh yeah, I already know about that.
Of course. Yeah.
And then
they know.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, I know. Tio has a lot of eyeshadow palettes. And I'm just like, oh, thanks. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, and they have a flag. And I'm just like, yep.
Hey, kids are perceptive.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I think now because like these conversations are much more mainstream.
Yeah.
Like
it's like
they've
norm
always
now.
existed,
Yeah.
but like they're just existing in more public spaces. But yeah, I mean, I also like the gender binary is taught, like, you know, similar to like hate, racism, all of those things are taught, but like, you know, gender is also very much taught.
Right.
So
do you mind sharing how you went about telling them about correcting, just, you know, just in case that helps someone else? You don't have to if you don't want to.
So I just text them the podcast on our group chat.
I live for that.
I was just like, skip to this time.
When we spoke directly to them.
Yeah. Literally. They were like, well, I'm actually glad they didn't scream at us like you said that you wanted them to. First of all, they were like, why didn't you tell us before? And I was like, I did. And they're like, oh. And then they were embarrassed. And then they were now more aware of it. And they are still trying their best. They know that it's new, but they still right away like correct themselves. And whenever we meet someone new and they use the wrong pronoun, they're like, ahem, it's they. And then I'm just like, okay, that's too aggressive.
You're like, okay, I really appreciate the sentiment, but like, let's go about this in a different way. Oh, that's how are you feeling better about your relationship with them?
Yeah. And now it's just more I have to tell my parents. But again, since they are older and from a different country, it's different.
Yeah.
So that hopefully wish me luck soon.
Oh, we will. And I think I'm glad that you are able to like, when doing that, not also having to kind of like really worry about this with your sisters and have them kind of be able, the way that they correct other people in conversation, that they can also correct your parents or kind of unload some of that. I don't want to say responsibility because like none of it's your responsibility at all, but like our responsibility as like people around to like self-police, to be like, hey, no, like don't dump that on them, you know?
Yeah. I think it like they've learned how to do it better when I was like, oh, hey, by the way, Demi Lovato and Halsey go by they, them, by the way. And they're like, oh, cool. And then they just started calling. I think that's what made it easier for them as well.
Yeah.
Because every time like someone new, like Billy Porter and Janelle Monáe.
I love Janelle Monáe too.
They're like, oh, and they were like right away learned that.
Yeah. No, I think it's helpful for people in general that like a lot of the times people won't respect like celebrities' pronouns. And I'm like, that's the best way to be aware of this before you have somebody in your life who goes by pronouns that you are either unfamiliar with or someone that you know who has changed, who has now like is not using the pronouns that you knew them as once before. Like the best thing to do is like a celebrity that you have referred to and known as, like, this is wonderful practice of and not harming someone that you like are having like a personal conversation with in that. So I recommend that to people. I've had people I've corrected them on celebrity ones. They're like, they're not here. Like, it's fine. I'm like, no. First of all, it's disrespectful. And also, like, how are you going to get into the habit?
It's just wrong.
Yeah. But also, like, how are you going to get into the habit when if someone that you know, like, this isn't a performative thing. It's not just like when people are looking. Like, what?
Yeah. It's like that one paparazzi who kept misgendering Demi Lovato and Melissa was like their team.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, I'm happy for you and your sisters and all of that stuff, and wishing you the best in therapy today.
Yeah.
And this sounds so corny, but like, be gentle with yourself and like the relationship stuff and like all of that. Like it's a lot, and it's a lot for everyone to kind of handle. And I think you're doing a really great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. We're sending you so much love in a virtual hug. Thank you so much for giving us all of these updates, and we're sending you love.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. Have a good
rest
day.
of your day.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was the update, or the updates, I guess we should say. Updates. Well, that is it for our episode. Hope you all enjoyed. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a message at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to go leave a review on the podcast app, we would greatly appreciate it. Should we see?
Sure.
If Rachel...
I mean,
she has.
Let's not spotlight Rachel.
Okay, we won't give Rachel a spotlight. Do you want to read this one, or do you want me to?
I can read it.
Okay.
They challenged my thoughts in the friendliest way. Wow. I absolutely adore Megan and Melissa and Moss, I guess.
I live for this. Also, all three of our names are spelled right. That might be the first time it's ever happened.
Great. Already off to a great start. They have such an educational yet relatable and entertaining way of explaining things in a way that challenges my prior beliefs. I've been listening for years now, and I love that their opinions have grown and evolved with them. They're also super hilarious. No, I'm not in love. I just highly recommend listening to this podcast. They give me hope for the future.
Oh,
wow.
That is so kind.
So great. Thank you so much.
So kind. I always know, like, when people are saying like, oh, they challenge my thoughts, I know like what it's pertaining to, but sometimes I like to pretend that it's about like really stupid shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've challenged my thoughts on ghosting. I now ghost every person I meet. Like, things that like I have no significant, So I think that's quite funny. But thank you. So nice. If you want to leave a review, we would appreciate it. And if you also want to listen to our new podcast, episode 2 is coming out this week of But Am I Wrong? Where we tell you if you're wrong and you tell us if we're wrong. And then we talk about celebrities and pop culture and decide if they were wrong.
But you really want to go listen to this one.
Yeah. I done goofed, and you're gonna want to listen. It's really funny.
I had a realization as we were going through, and I was battling myself, like, do I share my side of the story?
Yeah, it's funny,
but
it's very funny. Please go listen. Comes out on Thursday. If you want to follow us on socials, we are there by Megan and Melissa on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure we're the exact same on TikTok.
No, TikTok, it says don't
fucking shit.
You did it. And then I didn't want to say anything.
No, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to follow me, my socials are all at Megan Ranks. If you head over to my Instagram, Mott's and I are currently looking for a house. So there's some great house hunting blog content where you can rub it in my face that you live in Iowa and your house was $200,000.
I sent you a great house. I can't even get it out straight.
Go on Patreon so you can see my facial reaction to this.
The one I sent her was like
people with pumpkins on their heads.
People with pumpkins and doing just like everyday stuff in their Zillow listing.
It's almost as bad as the fucking house that was like $3.7 million that no one cleaned up, and they just had their squatty potty out.
Yes.
Anything else I want to promote? No. Oh, our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Please go join our Patreon if you want to support the show. It is incredibly helpful in us continuing to do the show, and we have a lot of fun doing it. You could watch the video versions of the episodes for only $1 a month. It's so incredibly cheap. And then for $5 a month, or you can, decide that you want to do more than that, join us for Zooms where we hang out every other week and we have a great time, and it's very, very, very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We had one a couple weeks ago. It was like 3 hours long. If you want to follow Melissa, you can go to She Is Not Melissa. Please follow me on Instagram.
I thought you were going to keep the third person up. Please follow her on Instagram. She would greatly appreciate that.
She would.
If you work for a company that does podcast ads, have them shoot us an email. Mm-hmm. And we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence.
Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to see you next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures.
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the co-hosts of the Let me try that again. Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be massively merry,
Oh,
gigantically jolly, fantastically festive, as some people might say, Eric. We are all about alliterations, and we are all about Christmas spirit. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's go. It should be like, let's go, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.